alternative future scenarios that I've seen, where either that while we are using alternative futures or trying to like create narratives of multiple futures, they're pretty quite some sort of similar to each other, because they embark in the same scenario logic, right? There's no wrong with that, but then again, what I've seen is that the tendency is that people tend to fill in the blanks, and not really like some sort of creating some sort of a process that at least we end up creating scenarios that are perhaps different from each other, right? Not necessarily unique or novel from each other, but then at least it gives you some sort of multiple differentiated narratives of futures. And that was my question. And when I was trying to like some sort of have conversations with people about that and why it's so, is that suddenly the insight I had was the absence of randomness in the way we do foresight, right? So we get to choose our forces of change, we rank, we vote on them, whatever that might be, at least to put some order into chaos, or in those things that it's hard for us to like make sense of it, particularly those that are known to us. But then, of course, trying to like build on what Jim Taylor have said, if there's an idea about the future, it must at first seem ridiculous. But then there is a gap about unpacking and exploring ridiculous things and using and choosing our forces of change. So there might be a gap in that, and the gap that I see eventually would be the function and the function and the nature of randomness in the way we do foresight. So I did a research on randomness, and apparently what I learned is that games, for centuries, many centuries, in fact, is that humanity's first exploration of randomness actually began with gaming. It's not easy. We've seen this in in statistics and mathematics. We tried to some sort of replicate and build our capacity to make sense of randomness and chaos. It's pretty quite hard. In fact, for many, particularly in the cybersecurity industries, just to make sure that randomness is functional in cybersecurity is that what they learned is that the best way for us to actually mimic randomness is through pseudo-randomness. And of course, dice or gaming is one way by which we actually like mimic randomness, card games in particular. So the Dreams and Disruptions game was invented in that context. Like, what if you don't get to choose your forces of change, right? What if? So what would scenario building look like if you don't get to choose your forces of change? That's the first question. The second question is the idea that, of course, we build the scenarios, create the scenarios, generate the reports, submit it to decision makers, and then the decision makers, would eventually like make sense of whatever scenarios that we have.